Sometimes the most profound teachings can be expressed in just a couple of words. I'd like to show you an example of that today. Shalom, my friends. I was thinking this week about Abraham. It's not where we read about Abraham in the Torah right now, but I was on a conference call with the American Israel Public Affairs Committee, and we were talking about the Abraham Accords in the Middle East. Brought Abraham to mind. And one of my favorite stories about Abraham is when God tells us why he chose Abraham to be his messenger to the world. We don't get it right away in Abraham's story. Abraham is mentioned very briefly in Genesis chapter 11. He really makes his debut on the scene in Genesis 12. And the verse that I'm talking about, we don't get until Genesis 18. But in Genesis 18, verse 19, if you'd like to look it up for yourself, God is considering whether he should tell Abraham his plan to destroy the cities of Sodom and Gomorrah. And he says that he, God, has singled out Abraham. Why? Because he knows that Abraham will command his children and his household after him to observe the path of the Lord. And then the Torah goes on to tell us what it means to observe the path of the Lord. What is the path of the Lord? To do what is right and just. And that's it. To do what is right and just. God didn't say, I have chosen Abraham because I know Abraham will offer me more sacrifices, more cows, more sheep, more goats than anybody else. He didn't pick Abraham because he said, I know that in a few chapters of Genesis, I'm going to tell Abraham to sacrifice his son and he'll be willing to do it. No, simply doing what is right and just. As simple as it is, it can be life-changing and world-changing. Just imagine a world in which everyone did what is right and just. But let me make one final point. The Torah does not say Abraham did what Abraham thought was right and just. He did what is right and just. This tells us that there are absolute standards of right and wrong. What is the source of those absolutes? God himself. So this is a deep and profound teaching contained in just a couple of words. There are moral absolutes. They are simply expressed, doing what is right and just. And if everyone in the world did that, we would be living in a much better world. That's where I'll leave it this week, my friends. As always, you can subscribe to the channel. Just click on my face over there. Watch a couple of other videos. Click on them right over there. Until next week, Shabbat Shalom.